Hey, what's up? I'm Liz, this is Blitzy DIY, and today is going to be a very special episode. It's going to be an episode focusing on REPTAR, my computer. I'm going to be doing 2 upgrades to it. First is a new power supply. I'm going to be upgrading it to a Corsair RM550x power supply. That's a 550 watt supply. It's going to be replacing the power supply I have in there, which is currently a Rosewill 550 watt. Rosewill, for those of you that don't know, is kind of Newegg's house brand. It was definitely a budget power supply when I built it, but now I can upgrade a bit. The Corsair is a 80 plus gold for power efficiency. It is fully modular, and it also has a really awesome review on Tom's Hardware, and that's actually what helped me decide to go with the Corsair. For those of you that don't know, Tom's Hardware puts their power supplies through so many rigorous tests to really figure out which ones are the best. I would be lying if I told you I read the full 10-page review, because I honestly don't understand a lot of it, and you probably won't either. But if you just go to the last page on each power supply review, they'll tell you pros and cons of each one, and you'll be able to make a better informed decision as a result. Now, a power supply upgrade, that's very mature. That's a good choice to make in upgrading your computer. And actually, I recommend everyone make sure they have a very decent power supply in their machine, if for no other reason, to make sure it doesn't blow up. And now that very balanced, mature decision can only be thrown into pure balance, since I am a Libra and I seek balance, by something that's a little bit more frivolous, a little bit more fun. And that would have to be by installing a Asus Strix GTX 1060 graphics card. Now, why is this? Why am I deciding to do this now? Well, recently I was able to get a really awesome deal on the full Adobe Cloud, full suite monthly program with my educational discount from work, which I didn't realize I was eligible for, but I totally am. Up until now, I have been using Adobe Premiere Elements to edit all of my videos. And honestly, it gets the job done. It's a good workhorse of a program, and if anyone wants to get into borderline professional level video editing, I definitely recommend picking that up, because you buy the software, you own it, it's affordable, and it's been serving me well. But recently I did feel a bit capped by its limitations, and I was starting to maybe consider doing a Premiere monthly program, but there was something about paying that much money per month just to use a piece of software. But I can totally deal, and I'm totally into paying $15 a month for the entire suite with Photoshop, After Effects, the whole 9 yards. Now, Adobe Pro utilizes GPU acceleration. That means your graphics card can help speed up render times and make things run a little smoother. Editing and everything like that is still mostly CPU based, but you can get that extra boost to help you out with a graphics card, whereas Elements does not have that, so it hadn't made sense before. Now there's a practical use. And then, I gotta be honest, I've been wanting to try out PC gaming. It's been a while since I've purchased a console, and I can't make it make sense for me to buy a new console, so I'm basically stuck in retro game land, which is fine. I love my retro games, but there are just some really cool games that are out there right now, like No Man's Sky, Overwatch, and I'd be lying if I wasn't thinking, if I just put one little component in my computer, I would totally have a full-on gaming rig. Now granted, my computer will always first and foremost be a productivity rig, but to just know I can do that on the side is awesome. So I went for the Asus Strix GTX 1060. Now, why did I choose that specific iteration of the card? Well, for one, it has a really awesome cooler on it, and that means that it's going to stay cool. I'll be able to overclock it a bit and won't have to worry about it heating up my case too much or heating up the actual card. And it also uses an 8-pin power connector, which means it'll have a little bit more power available to it, because most of the 1060s utilize a 6-pin like the EVGAs, which are also awesome cards, but I went with the Asus. It's also a very long card, and now we get to my next point, which I'd be lying if I didn't say aesthetics. The card has RGB lighting, which, as you know, I'm a fan, kind of a little, and the length will also, I think, help make my case not look as empty. Right now I have a micro ATX motherboard, in a mid-tower case, and which it's meant to house, but the entire side is very empty, and it'd be kind of cool to kind of fill that out. Now, one more practical thing, I will be able to do full HD signal cables up to both of my monitors now. Right now, with my current graphics card, I go HDMI to my 21:9, but then I have to go VGA to my 16:9 secondary monitor. Otherwise, I'd be using adapters. I don't want to get into that, so I'll be able to go full HDMI 2.0 to both of my monitors, which is really awesome. But enough talking, let's go in and do this thing. Okay, so as you can see, everything went in really easily. The power supply, I was able to swap out the cables really easily. Rewiring everything was definitely something I was a little worried about, and as you saw, I did struggle a bit getting the back panel on because the cables are a bit bulkier on the Corsair power supply compared to the Rosewill power supply. I don't personally see this as a bad thing. It just means there's more insulation happening. So the more insulation, the merrier when it comes to a power supply, but it slotted right in. It lined up with the back screws perfectly fine, so that was great. I also was able to take the opportunity to swap in a shorter USB cable for my Arduino that's controlling the case lights, which was good. I've been meaning to do that because I swapped in basically a 3-foot cable for a 6-foot cable, so that's always good. I am gonna go back in and tidy up the cables a little bit more, just for the sake of the install. I just kind of wanted to get it in and do a test boot, which I'm happy to report test boot a-okay. I did not film the test boot because the 2 times that I have filmed a test boot for here, it hasn't booted. And those are the only times, knock on wood, that this computer has not booted. So I didn't want to jinx it, so I tried to break the curse, and it worked. Booted right up, even with the new graphics card in, without the drivers loaded or anything like that. And that's another thing, the graphics card, as you saw, was really easy to slot in. I was a little bit worried because it is a dual slot card. It's pretty hefty. I was also really conscious of not touching the back plate because I have read a lot of things that it does attract fingerprints really easily, so, and then they're really hard to get off, so I did want to so I was very careful with that. And I was a little bit concerned about the clearance of the card with my CPU cooler. I have a really big cooler on, as you can see, and there is plenty of room, which was awesome, and it cleared everything on my motherboard, including the RAM slot. It's like a perfect fit, it fits like a glove. And I still have room on the side of my case for airflow with the fans and everything. Plenty of room, actually, so that was good to see as well. Now I'm going to do a follow-up video where I'm actually going to benchmark the card with a few different parameters, so that'll be coming up, and then I'll give more of kind of a review. This was more of kind of an install video to see how everything was going to fit in, and also give some people ideas on how you can kind of slowly upgrade your system over time. You don't have to go out and buy like a fully spec'd out system to start. I mean, if you can, awesome, that's great, but most people can't, and so I mean, it's been coming up on 2 years for my system, and I'm still able to like add things here and there to make it what I want it to be. So that's definitely something to keep in mind, that you can always keep adding on, and that's what's really awesome about building your own computer, is that you have that option to upgrade. And don't worry, that graphics card isn't just going to be sitting on the shelf, although some of you may feel that it should. I'm actually going to be putting that in my dad's system. I built my dad a PC, kind of low specs, but also some higher specs, like there's an SSD in there, and I gave him 8 gigs of RAM just to kind of future-proof it, and we'll be taking a look at his system and doing some little updates. You may remember from the build video for this, I took out the stock fans, so I was going to be putting those in his system. Still haven't done that yet, so those will be going in then as well. So yeah, a lot to look forward to on the channel. Right now I'm so pumped that everything worked out for the install, and it's also 9 o'clock on a Tuesday night. I have work in the morning, so this has been another episode of Blitz City DIY. Find me on all social media nonsense. Links are down below in the description. I'll also link a couple things down in the description for the power supply, review on Tom's hardware, any other little things I'm forgetting. And until next time, this has been Blitz City DIY.